recording, we're live. There. Right. There you go.
Alright, let's do this thing.
I'll turn off the TV so that you know they can't hear the TV in the background. Where the fuck is the remote?
I don't know where the remote
There
is.
it is.
Alright. Yeah, good start.
I'll get onto the chat, don't worry.
Alright, I just want to make sure it's actually there. And I have... Oh, you downloaded stuff, didn't you?
Yeah. It should be on Skype.
It should be on the Skype, and I should be able to just get into here.
Yeah.
Time folder. There we go. I am super prepared. Extract. And then pull it down here. So, we all good?
Yeah.
What can we see? Just what I'm showing? Or should I just close? Should I show desktop or?
You can show desktop.
It's just Lavina. Yeah. Right, so you're on chat at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so hello everybody. It's not technically the end of week 1, that's not going to be until Wednesday, but hey, it's close enough. We are just going to be looking over some of the progress that's been happening on the HETALIA Game Jam, which I believe the opening ceremony is now public on YouTube?
I think so.
Okay, so everyone should know-ish, maybe, if they actually care. But I know a lot of people put up stuff this morning, but I did say if I didn't get it by last night, it wouldn't get into the stream, but it does mean that we will be looking at your stuff in next week's stream. We all good?
Yeah,
We
fine. You're just about like, I'd say about a minute behind, but that's fine.
Okay, so I've lovingly put them all in everything. That needs to be down there, and that needs to be down there, but we're going to go through everything. Poppy's also, well, Tricro is going to give her opinion as well, but she's working on a little something for the next bit. This stream is going to be in 2 parts. The first part we're going to be looking at stuff that I've collected off of the Discord that people have put up, and we're going to speculate, we're going to look stuff up, you know, that sort of thing. I'm going to try and get it as wrong as possible because that's more fun, don't you think? And the second half of this, which obviously you don't have to stick around for, but we're trying something out. We want to do some podcast type things, so we're going to do what is lovingly called on this folder up here Teachy Time, where we're going to go through how we plan stuff based upon our experiences. It's more of a here's how we do it kind of thing, but if you are a first time person watching this, then you might find it interesting, who knows. We'll see how it goes from there. Alright, so I should probably do this in order. First up is the Dream Team. Dream Team is Kyo and Matty Boy. I'm doing this off the top of my head, as you noticed that I am doing not got the stuff in front of me, so I'm gonna mess everything up, and I'm so sorry to everybody who's come from the Discord chat. Stuff we've got from them, we've got a couple of images and we've got a couple of maps. So how does each computer work again? There we go. Start off.
People who are in the chat, you might want to tell us who you are, because obviously some of you have got different usernames to your Discord ones, so I won't know who you are.
Okay, so this is the first image we've got from the Dream Team thing. Yeah, there's a melty face. It appears to be a very bloody looking, I think, Russia. I'm going to say the archery person is probably England. And you've got what appears to be a Felly and a lion beast, who I think might be Canada, but that's based upon the little pictures in the top corner. Can you see how it seems to have like a little curl on it?
I'll have to sorry, I'm at the other side of the room.
Yeah, no, I know. I just thought, see how there?
Yeah.
Seems to be a little curl in it. Alright, now I did look this up because I was just making sure I was completely on board with this. Cauchemar, which is the name of this image, Cauchemar design. Cauchemar is French for nightmare, which you could probably figure out. I mean, I double checked just in case. I looked up Koch as well, just in case it was one of those like merge words like everyone does in the HETALIA fan game things. What can we say about this though? It's nightmares. Lots of I mean, I don't know about Arthur in the corner there, he just kind of stood there.
We can definitely see where they're going with fears.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, definitely. There's the whole like heartbrokenness in the top, there's the beast thing, there's my face just melted off, which is always a classic. There's killing, and again, I don't really know about Arthur, but it could be anything. This is something that I know that I don't know much about Matty Boy, and I'm very sorry about that. I know that Kyo looks into a lot of that sort of stuff anyway, that stuff like Dreamtalia, and that does look at the dark side of things, so that makes sense that they would go down this sort of route. It'll be interesting to see how they go. I saw written down that they're going for puzzles, which I know is something that Kyo said is a new thing, which is what this is apparently. Oh, my images are tiny. This is apparently a picture puzzle, covered in beautiful blood by the look of it, which I don't know what it could be anything really. I mean, it's obviously a, what's the word again? A fleur?
It's one of those French arrow things.
I know
There's such beautiful British people who just don't care about French symbolism.
Oh, unless it's embroidered on clothing, then I'm all about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that. They're doing puzzles for the first time, and it's a bit infuriating. I know that feel though about the infuriation of like doing puzzles when you basically started off doing the whole fine, throw a few battles in there.
A fleur de lis.
Thank you. But that's what they're doing. They're trying to do more of a puzzle game, so we'll see how that turns out. We also have some maps. I'm really sorry about these images. I tried to get the best ones, but apparently the computer just didn't want to do it. We have a meeting room. A lot of games I've seen in this, you'll see a meeting room a lot. It's a very classic starting point for fan games in the HETALIA series, and it's very simple to do. Everyone knows they go to world meetings. It's a very nice room. I know the original of this had problems with the corners, but that has been fixed really nicely. And it's nice and spacious, so I'm loving that sort of thing. Next up,
Gucci says pastels and blood are always good together.
You're right there. This one, I like this one. The reason I like this one is because I like the fact they've used black and white tile sets. I mean, obviously there's colour in there as well, and spooky shadowy man, but I like that. I love the contrast, and yeah. It's very simple technique, and this could be a dream, this could be a flashback, this could be a evil monochrome world. Do you want an evil monochrome world?
I don't know. Does it have to be an evil monochrome one?
It could be. I mean, the door's still in colour. It's very Kingdom Hearts-ish. Very nice.
It'd be interesting to find out why it's monochrome, like if there is a reason behind it, because I like it when there's like subtle design elements.
Or like
that there is reasons behind.
Like almost like a depression kind of thing, or a sadness.
Or even just like blindness to certain
ooh,
things.
yes, blindness would be interesting. I like that. Making everything grey, because it's like, what is colour? I mean, other than like blood and door. And last off in this is apparently, what is this? Okay, that's really badly coloured on this screen. I can't see it very well. It's apparently a hint to the title screen. There is a roof in this corner and then snow everywhere.
Transparent one?
No, it's not. It's just this computer screen.
Oh, okay.
So for all I know, it could look fantastic.
Yeah, they can probably see it on the stream, considering that you're not seeing it off a plasma monitor.
Oh,
so.
that's true, yeah. Yeah, our computer screen for our big computer is a TV, so I'm missing some coloration. I'm very sorry for that, please bear with me. But it's got a roof in the corner and it's got a lot of snow, so...
Oh yeah, no, you can definitely see it on the stream too.
Oh, that's good. Good. So yeah, I mean, snow's always good. I mean, if it is snow, it could be like ash from fire and stuff. I mean, that'd be cool.
It's also in monochrome.
It's also in monochrome. Monochromium.
It's gonna be a theme.
That'll be interesting. I do like themes like that. Color theory is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously not much to go on so far, but we're enjoying this. Next up is Icy Love, and I've already forgotten who's in everything.
Let me find out for you.
Yay! I'm prepared. Just stare at Lavina's face for a while. And I will get this up.
Icy Love is Seb and Isu.
Seb and Isu. Alright, Seb and Isu is Icy Love. This is the only thing that I found so far. Obviously, again, I apologise if you put stuff up this morning, but it's after the post I made that basically helps me figure out when week 1 ended and week 2 began. They have some basic maps in the background, as you can see. Oh, some very cute little bedroom. Got a little Liechtenstein, and they appear to be testing a bust plugin. I think a lot of people are using that plugin. Do you know this one I mean? Where it brings the image to the forefront, but instead of restricting it to the faceplate, it makes it bigger.
Yeah.
We've used it once or twice, but anything we've released. We did some testing with it.
We tested.
It was in
Servant of Evil.
Servant of Evil. We tested it. We were testing a few plugins with that one though. Yeah, so it looks like Liechtenstein's in this one. I do like it when Liechtenstein's in things. She is an adorable little thing, and I love her. Obviously not much to go off, but it is looking really nice. I mean, I don't want to be like critical. That's mean. It's more of a like the problem with this plugin is how it half and halves the text box. So it could work if they keep it that image that big, but if it were me, I would reduce the image a little bit and scooch her over a tiny bit so you had more room for text, because you've got space for 5 words there, and that's if you're using small words. But no, that's just what I would do. They could be doing that. They could have some fantastical thing to go with it. But I do like that. It's very nice so far. And then up next we've got the Inquisition. Gee, I wonder who's in the Inquisition.
That is Tony and...
It's Tony and Hayden and World.
Yes. Those 3.
Yeah, those 3. I know you put up some maps this morning. I know you did, and I've looked at them. They were very nice. Say maps, things.
They put up one map and it didn't have anything on it, Sammy.
No, that wasn't that one.
That was their placeholder map.
That wasn't that one. Well, at least that's not what I've got in here. I've got these images. I know what you're talking about. No. We've got... I'm not sure how many of these are actually going to be in-game, but we like them, so we're going to keep them up. I probably shouldn't start there. We'll start with this one. Got another nice little bust.
Tony says very nice map, my foot.
What? Am I not allowed to comment? Alright, so first off we've got this. Knowing this lot, there's no doubt in our minds that this is Spain. Say hello.
Hello, Spain.
I'm not gonna lie, before we found out stuff this morning about what your thing was, which I won't talk about because that's for next week, I thought this was going to be set in a steampunk era. I really did. I don't know why. There was just something about it that was like, ooh, you know? Does have that sort of feel to it though. The colouring on it seems to be of the monochrome style again. I mean, from the look of it, there is a bit of colour in the eye, which I quite like. And it's a red background, because red. But no, it's really nicely positioned. There was also a couple of other sketches thrown down. I know this one, Hayden was talking about being another bust, which is what I believe is Lavina. I'm trying to remember if people wrote these down now. In that sort of similar style. Again, this was when I still thought it had the steampunk element to it, because it still has that in my opinion. I'm expecting him to jump on an airship any moment now. bash some people with like a, I want to say a sledgehammer, but I don't know why sledgehammer. It's not really very steampunky.
Like anything could be more steampunky than a sledgehammer.
There's some cogs on there, it's steampunk.
Sledgehammer with cogs equals steampunk.
And then this one, which was just called And Have a Felly. I don't know if this is part of it, but it does fit the style, so look at his little face. He just push his cheeks. But yeah, no, I do love the design. I love the costume aspect of it. They've thought about how everyone's gonna look. And then we have this. Let's see if I can see it. Yeah, we can. So this is a small section of script that was dropped onto the thing. Me and Trico spent a while looking at the fact it says con on the script, and spent a while wondering what con was, but it would all, to be honest, I think when we read this we had a slight almost 2P vibe to it, but that was because of the conversation that was happening, the whole I'll be surprised it's still standing after all the bombs that were dropped, and then him feeling a headache and then wanting to rebuild. It was almost like he was talking to himself. That's the idea I got, at least. What do you think?
Yeah.
So that was when we started going, maybe it's not steampunk.
Well, I get cautious whenever someone's talking about towns in Spain where bombs were dropped, because I know that boy's history, and but it doesn't look very World War II era, so I'm a little like But then all of these previews aren't very much to go on, so we don't know. It could be anything. It could be anything. Why are people so vague? It could be anything.
I wonder why people are so vague. So obviously that we went one way and then the other with your one. That was fun. Next is Kitty and Bunny, which is Leanne and her sister, I believe. Only one thing for this, and there's another meeting room.
The one thing we've noticed is that everyone seems to have a meeting room.
There's a lot of events.
Some variety.
A lot of events placed in here. Very basic meeting room. I'm assuming your sprites work when you're in the testing phase, because they seem to have split in half.
It sounds like they've got 2 block high sprites.
Ah, that could be it. I'm not used to working with 2 block high. But no, this one obviously, unlike Dream Team 1, Dream Team went for a very long one. This one's a more of a wide, smaller, modest one. Appears to have our
It looks a bit more practical for if you're having a group meeting.
Yeah, that's the good thing about the meeting room aspect, is that people do interpret the meeting room differently in different ways. I know a lot of people favor the whole like it's a horseshoe thing. I know in the past when we've messed around we've done a full table, and some people do a full table. I know some people who do squares and there's like space in the middle, and I don't know, I've always...
Sorry, you don't have to react to the fact I'm pointing.
I've always wanted like Germany to be stood in the middle, like some weird like university lecturer professor, just
I've yet to see someone try and mimic the UN. Like the big hall with all of the like...
It would end up looking very schoolish though. Like it'd be possible.
Yeah.
It would take a lot, and it might be a big
one where
map.
they'd have to like create the actual location as an image. It's like just a large tile. Instead of it being made out of like all of the in-game assets.
I mean, I'm interested by how these are spread out. I'm not gonna lie, like they're very specifically placed. Do you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got some nice glows in the window. I like that. I like that spread. So that's all they have at the moment.
Just because we've got someone in the chat being like saying that they use long tables. The only problem I have with long tables is if it's a meeting, it's not very practical.
Yes. Somebody at the other end of the table.
Someone talking at one end of the table, trying to talk to the head of the table, and it just being too long to get like points across. It's the reason why meeting rooms tend to have those big curved tables, like the one that was in there.
What? What are you saying? I can't hear you. What's that about spats? I mean, technically they all have interpreters or something, but to be honest, technically, yeah. If you did the sort of UN thing, you'd have to put all the little microphones in, the little headsets.
It would be really cute though, because then you could like have it that it actually looks like it has the entire world of nations there, not just the important ones.
Oh yeah, no, I get you. But then you have the trouble of what Gakko ones have, where they start trying to put people, like they shove loads of OCs in there to make it look like there's more people, and then it's sort of that fine line of are you just putting them in for the sake of putting them in, or do they actually have relevance?
Bambi said smoke signals.
Smoke signals.
That's how he communicated because he got a long table, and Tony said yodel.
Right, so next up we have love triangle. What's love triangle?
Love triangle is it's the base, isn't it?
The base.
Yeah. It's Chiyu, Kyun, and Eddie.
Chiyu, Kyun, and Eddie. Mr. Bloody.
Chiyu was on the chat earlier. I don't know whether Chiyu is still here. Chiyu, there's Chiyu. Yeah,
So
they
this-
said neon signboards.
So here we go. This is what we've got from them so far. This went up really quickly. I was like, whoa guys, slow down. Like, I think 2 days in they were like, look what we've done, and it was just like, okay guys, just wow. So we appear to have Austria. Sounds like it was named just for me, huh? And some golden gates. I don't know why, but this is just getting some little heteroni vibes up in here. Austrioni.
Austria only.
Austria only. Let's have a look. Yeah, they've gone with the behind the chat picture former bust, which is what we like to use. That's more of a personal preference. It's exactly the same as with the plugin, but it's behind instead of in front, as obvious. They've also got a nice HUD in there. Appears to be a nice blood red background with a bit of gold bordering. Very nice. And then it's he's obviously found something. Has he been given something? Is this like Luigi's Mansion? Are we gonna meet like Professor Egad and he's gonna be given like the vacuum cleaner and he's gonna go like hunting down some ghosts? That'd be awesome. I think a clean freak like Austria would be perfect for that.
I think we haven't seen someone actually do a ghost house yet for Fear.
Not I know of, not unless like the Nightmare one is like that.
I don't know, I don't really count it as a ghost house if you're going against like worlds changing around you kind of thing.
Depends how they do it. I'm gonna forever have an AU in my head, which is Luigi's Mansion with Roderick.
Yeah.
Because that is perfect.
Everyone's being like, there needs to be more Roddy in the world, and Luigi's Mansion in capital letters.
Just imagine him though, like, I don't know. You could even like throw some random guy in there who's just like, here's a vacuum cleaner, and he's literally just trying to clean the house, and every so often gets a ghost stuck in it.
Romania.
Just Romania, like, here's a vacuum, go clean the house, and he's like, fine. Oh look, another ghost. Oh, for goodness sake. It's an infestation!
You're not seeing Sammy's beautiful arm movements as she pretends to hoover the floor.
That's next year's Halloween. Like, next year's theme for this is just going to be everyone make a game where Roderick is in Luigi's Mansion.
Everyone make a Luigi's Mansion game.
So that's what we've got for Love Triangle. Next up is Milk Squad at 3/4.
Which is... It is Angel of Shadows, Maple Sweater, and Noisy Bunny.
Yay! And whoever the fourth person is, because we can't let them in, but they really, really got sad they couldn't.
That's why we scribbled out their face on the Draw Your Squad.
Alright, so we have what I think is another meeting room. I think. Just, I don't know, the way it's laid out just suggests that. I like the room. At first I thought it was just like a dining room sort of thing.
It could just be a library.
That's also possible. Like, you got the little reading chair, you got a little desk here, you got this in the middle, lots of books. I love some of these little book tile sets. Like, I love this bookcase with the ladder. Like, that is so cute. And like, you know, stuff like that. have a look. Just have a look around it. I'm assuming you're coming from the top. Sorry, for a second I didn't think that was a door. I think it's because it's like two things across. But that's my fault. And there appears to be like a little like cute little like mailbox thing. Oh, I love it. But you could, if it's a library, that means that we've got like a house. That's always nice. We've got this one, which, to be honest, it does look like a house. Nice little piano in the corner. Because every front room needs piano. Oh, I love this wallpaper. Kind of makes me want Millie's cookies though.
See, when I was looking for interior wallpaper for MV, I couldn't find anything. Sigh.
Okay. There are different things and stuff.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay.
And the clock in there, basic hallway, I think. So they've gone for the house interior, and then there's this one, which appears to be like a garden with like some mushrooms and stuff like that. Little pond, little wishing well. Assuming this isn't drinkable. So from what I can get from this, we might be getting a little house one. Although about it, I don't know. Could be trapped in. Could just be. I mean, there's little paw prints here. Maybe like something gets in the house. Like a little werewolf or something. What?
Maybe.
So yeah, that's Milk Squad's one. I don't know why I clicked that twice. Sketchy tomatoes.
It's Sketchy
And Finn.
And Finn.
Yeah. So we've got
I almost said Sketchy and tomatoes.
Sketchy and tomatoes. We've got one bust, which is Denmark, which means this is a Nordic-y thing. Nice.
Someone did say that it could be Blue's Clues.
Could be Blue's Clues. Blue's Clues with murder. But we've got some nice like bust work here. The Denmark in the corner for the reference. So we've got a Nordic game, which is also supported by the fact that we have a Finland. Look at him with a little mouth. Little mouth. I had multiple Finlands to choose from, but I felt this one was the less creepy of them all. Then we got this map. Finn provided us with this map, which I've got to say, I mean, look at that detail. It's breathtaking.
It's the best made map that
I mean, look.
seen.
What could this mean? Like, oh, it's got all this up
Can you
here.
imagine if the entire game was just that, and you just hit noises every so often when you moved around? Play the entire game blind.
But that's not the only map they sent us. They gave us this,
Lighting effects.
Which
I'm
has-
so happy.
some nice wood lights and stuff. Appears to be like your cabin in the woods, a little hole in the floor, stuff there. Kitchen area with lots of food. That looks a little spoilt.
Yeah, it looks like an abandoned house.
Every house needs like cake and fish or omelette or whatever that thing's meant to. Oh wait, no, yeah, it's an omelette. I answered my own question. I'm an idiot. Got some veg over in the corner. Could be an abandoned house. You're right there. And we got some snowy winter foresty things, little trees and stuff. Getting some Until Dawn vibes. Go up in the mountains. And a bathroom. This is one of two versions because they changed this candle set on the wall, but I like that candle set, so that's my bias. Little Finland hiding in the corner. But it's a bathroom, nice little bath, little toilet seat, sinks, pictures, magazines.
I like the scale of these rooms. Also, by the way, that's definitely not blankets. It's towels. It's definitely not blankets.
Towels. Definitely.
Definitely towels.
They gone for the no wall on this side thing, which is, in my opinion, that's an what's the word? Style choice. Obviously this means that you can use the whole space of the room. You can see everything. So that's always nice to see, that sort of thing. But yeah, those are all their maps. from what I can tell, it is just some form of house with Nordics. Could be an abandoned house. I mean, that's a very interesting one. It could be like some of the the trend recently where you go around abandoned houses and unlock the secrets of the past sort of thing. Like not in a horror way, but it's still tense as hell, and it's great. Appears to be set in the winter, so it could be very until dawn. Maybe they're trapped in the mountains in a snowstorm.
Knowing some Nordic horror stories, though, that one's likely to get quite jump scary.
Yeah.
If they're good with it.
That means you're playing that one.
Yay! I get to play all the jump scare ones.
Well, I don't want to play them. Alright, so we've got Trash Trio.
Yay!
Which is...
That's Poochie, Angel Kitty, and Bambi.
Right.
2 of which are in the chat.
Hey! Well, first off, we've got this. In Romania.
They're still screaming Wendigo at the moment. So.
Wendigo. So we've got Romania and Moldova. I love this HUD thing. With the little pumpkins in the background and all the sparkles around it. I mean, it's gorgeous, don't you think? And then you've got obviously the 2 little siblings there. It's got a little library thing going on here. Is this somebody's bedroom? Maybe somebody's bedroom? It could be a jail cell. I mean, we've got this down here. This side could be the jail cell, this side could be the jail cell. Either way, I mean...
I trust Romania to have a jail in this house.
Oh, yeah, it just appears that there appears to be a whole house on this side. So they could be trapped in a jail and they could be being held captive. Or this is like in Harry Potter and this is the forbidden spells section and Moldova's not allowed in there.
It could be. That's the child baby gate. That's the baby
That's
gate.
the baby gate. Baby gates in Romania's house are just full barred doors.
Yeah, it's to keep Romania out. Bulgaria put them there.
It's Bulgaria's room. I mean, if it turns out that they are trapped in there, that'd be interesting to see, like, that sort of trap thing. I mean, if it's from Moldova's point of view, then the whole child aspect of seeing, like, fear will be really interesting to see. We have some pretty little faceplates. Look how cute they are. Little cryy one as well. Oh, pat his little head.
That means they're gonna make Moldova cry.
Yes. Yes.
No!
We also have 2 sets of faceplates for Romania. Who's also crying. Crying angry. And cry. He's got more crying faceplates. Wow, what are you gonna do? I mean, like, you've got 2 sets, so I get it. Like, you don't really... But...
I absolutely love the style, but from what I know of anime, I'm unnerved because the cuter it is, usually the more terrifying it gets.
We also have one tiny Bulgaria. Look at his tiny face.
Such a cutie.
Smush his face.
I hope he gets to have, like, a good role in it.
Well, it does appear to be the, like, Eastern European
Yeah,
thing.
because you know me from, like, Spirit Focus, I love putting those guys in it.
Yeah. Well, they fit perfectly into that sort of thing, so that'll be interesting to see whether it's like, you know, if it's just a child horror thing, if it turns out they're trapped. I mean, I'm still, like, loving the whole, like, little jail cell thing here that adds just the right amount of touch of what the hell is going on. I mean, there appears to be, like... I mean, like, if you look as well, there appears to be, like, bars on... Oh, no, it's wallpaper. I'm sorry, I thought that was bars. I'm dumb.
Also, can we talk about the pumpkins in the window?
Yeah, no, I said that. It's cute, isn't it?
It's adorable.
And you got zombies, which is the numinous zombie tea party, which is everybody else. Is that right?
Yes.
Who are they?
They are Canadian Rogue, Enna Light, and Finn Fox.
And for that we have Liette, Lithuania.
He looks tired already.
Looks done with everything. So who knows what this could be that looks like...
Could be anything.
It could be anything. Anything at all. But yeah, no. So a lot of speculation could happen. Does this game mean it's going to have Russia in it, or is it just going to be like the Baltics? Is it, you know?
Who knows? Maybe it'll be Leopold.
Leopold. Do you want Leopold?
I wouldn't mind. It'd be nice to have Poland in more things.
Alright.
I'm enjoying writing him for hours right now.
I know you are. Alright, so we'll have a look through ours so far. You'll probably see a bit more of this planning as we go into our second half if you're interested, but hey, let's do this. First off, we have what I love naming my files. It's called Whoop. But this is a train, a basic train. It's not the best thing in the world. There are little to no train assets out there. So did what we could.
It's far bigger than any English train is and ever will be. Knowing that this is meant to be set in England, I'm just like, I wish my train was that big and that comfortable and that clean.
I know. So just your basic. It's a train. I don't want to be. I could sit here and just be like, oh well, I've done this for this and this reason, but it's like, it's not speculation. That's, look, it's a train.
Yeah.
I made a train. Most things in this are also placeholders. I mean, like, the characters are too fantasy for this setting, so we need to change them. This looks nothing like the bust that she has, which I haven't put any of the busts up on my thing.
Put any of the bust pictures?
I couldn't find the ones on the Discord, and I was
They're
gonna.
technically in the folders on there.
Okay. But she's also pushing a table instead of, you know, other things. Damn cutbacks on the train services. Next we have, what's a street? Because streets. We've based our game around the city of York. And City of York is a hodgepodge patchwork of different building types. So this is very accurate to what York looks like.
The problem with England is that everyone just kind of knocks down one building and replaces it with another. So you tend to have like some buildings from like 500 years ago that are protected now, but you have ones from like 100 years ago, ones from 50 years ago, ones that are brand new, ones that are like, and they're all on the same street, so they just end up looking like a patchwork quilt of buildings.
And this is because this is important. That's all I'm gonna say. This is important. And then Poppy's pride and joy so far, because she had a lot of fun building this.
My house.
This is the overworld house thing. You don't spend much time outside of it, but Poppy likes to create the area. Most of the time will be spent inside the house, a little bit will be spent here. I don't know if we're planning on using the rest of this per se. Does that make sense?
Not for the game, Joe, no.
No. But yeah. And I can show you this, which is Poppy's image of busts we need. Too many busts. I've got it in front of me as well. So shall we read this out?
Yeah. We've got one of those problems where, like, I know a couple of the groups have that problem where they've gone, you know what, we're going to put in, like, loads of nations and just have a big party. And I've gone, oh shit, this means I have 10 nations worth of busts to draw.
So we've got England in it, France is in it, America's in it, Prussia's in it, Poland is in it, Austria, Russia, Feli and Romano, and Antonio, which is this sparkly one here because Poppy likes Antonio. And I say that it's favoritism because she wrote down the nation name for every single one of them, but got to Spain and wrote Antonio instead.
That's the problem I have with the script as well, because you saw me write the script and I tried to keep to everyone's like nation names, and then halfway down the page instead of Prussia it was Gilbert.
So that's a lot of stuff. I mean, we have other like NPC ones to make, like driver, train lady, builder. But
I've made the driver and the train lady.
I guess I know. But basically we're doing, if you see it as a bust, so like the way you saw the Roderick one on the picture, that's a cutscene, but if it's a playable segment, it's a faceplate. It's a bit confusing, but we'll get there. It's just so that we could sort of...
It's like Danganronpa.
Like Danganronpa. Okay, like Danganronpa.
Where they use faceplates when it's out of cutscene and buses when it's in cutscene.
Yeah. Where's the bus then?
They are in the Game Jam folder on the desktop.
Game Jam.
And then 7. And then
Bus?
buses.
Alright, so we will see. Let's see... Arthur. So here's Arthur. Look at his beautiful face.
Shout out to Jessica for letting us borrow her fucking sprites.
We're borrowing sprites for this. We would usually make, but not enough time. So not enough time. So this is Arthur in the beginning. We also have Train Lady. Look how cute she is. Cute Train Lady. I actually tried to base her colours off of the bloomin' East Midlands people.
Yay! I based the uniform of it.
Nice! East Midlands trains.
Poochie wants to take him home.
And then we have Driver, which will be a bit dark on my screen, but I don't know. Driver! Who is a psycho little son of a sort of thing. So those are the busts we have so far. And I want to show some of this, which is my attempted programming work, which is a nightmare. Because it turns out the RPG Maker doesn't come with a basic combine items system, and the only plugins you can get off of blacksmiths, which isn't useful when you're just trying to go, oh look, 1 and 2, they go together and make 3. So I had to program that myself in common events. And that's not even like 12 is not even the most of these events I have to make. Probably gonna be like 117 by the time I'm done, but you know. We'll get there. We are also going for a puzzle element to our games. Fingers crossed, because last time we did that was technically midsummer and it wasn't really that much.
Well, hopefully because of the plug-in system with MV, it's an awful lot easier to get it to work.
Yeah. We'll have to see how it works though, because we've got to make the puzzles ourselves. We know the types of puzzles we want to do, and technically that one that I just showed you is a type of puzzle. But yeah, no, so near endish week 1, and that's what people have come up with so far. I'm impressed actually. The amount of work that's come out in such a short space of time. I mean, like, granted, I sat down with Tricro and basically said, look, if everybody had nothing to do and could just sit on their computers making this, they could all be done in about a week and a half, because that's, once you're in the flow of Game Maker, it just picks up. I mean, yeah, you'll have some days where you just like can't do damn anything, but oh well. But yeah, no. So that's technically the side of this, which is the what people have done. We're gonna go. Are we ready for the next bit, or?
Yeah.
Ready for the next bit, right? Okay. The next bit is when we're gonna just talk about how we do things. So if people are interested, please hang around. If not, thank you for being here.
Let me grab you a drink so that your throat isn't.
Sweet. I'm getting a drink grabbed for me. While we wait, you can have a little watch of these two just bob around.
It's my favourite. Make a gift. Try to not open it right next to the microphone. No.
I also know before we start teaching things, we're doing this based off what we've been taught in university, so it could be the most complicated way of doing things. So I'm very sorry.
I'm just gonna grab the chat onto here so that you can see it.
Hey, pop out chat.
Pop it out, there we go.
Sweet.
Shartinia, yeah!
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them that you know Shartini?
No, I don't want to tell them I know Shartini. I don't want to tell them I stayed in their house. And that they told us ghost stories and I didn't sleep all night. And that we played Mario all night. That was weird. Yeah. It's like gasp. But yeah, no. Are we ready to go? Or... Alright. Where am I picking stuff up from? Or do you want to just link me to it so I can just open it straight away? Look at him,
Still
Bob.
be open.
Look at him, Bob. Like on one of these?
It's on the Tracomatics.
This one?
There we are.
No. Oh god, that's bright.
Put the chat in the corner.
Yes. Where's it gone? Nope. There it is. Why are we gonna make Bambi cry? I don't know. Alright. So, let's be ready. Is this like an empty glass?
Yes.
Sweet.
I had cordial in it.
Oh, okay, it's mine then.
Who knows what Bambi's doing on the inside?
You want to pass me some sugar? The woman of minute, yes you are. Alright, so I would like to welcome you to the game planning portion of this game jam live stream thing. Emma Bob. We are going to talk about planning, because that's the first thing you should do. And totally not rush into the maker and make half a game and then go, what's the plot of this again?
Sammy.
Am I not allowed to critique my own work?
Yes, you are.
Okie doke. So, would Poppy like to come into this as well, or is she just going to watch from the side?
I'm standing here. I'm a part.
You're a part of this. Right. So, this is the bare bones of things. What do you do when you have no idea what you're going to do, but you're like, you know what I feel like doing? I want to make a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a lazy Sunday afternoon, you're just like, I want to make a game.
Yeah.
I mean, I know most of you probably have too many projects to handle, but...
Alright, so, first off, you cannot really start making a game unless you have an idea of what you want to make. Everyone goes into game making with a vague idea, and that's your starting point. That is basically the point at which we go, yes, please don't make maps. If you make maps in a fantasy setting and then decide later on you want to go sci-fi, there is a lot of backpedaling. Okay? You should always start your games with a concept. Poppy's put down some examples here.
To be honest, you can start with any of these three things as your starting point, but you'll need the other two to proceed
It's
to the
like
next step.
a triangle. You need all three. You need your concepts, your game types, and your genres. Okay, so a concept possibility could be something like, I really want a game that explores Antonio's relationship with his own history. Something a lot of people on here can probably relate to. Or I just want a game where everyone is rewarded for being happy for a change, which nobody has ever said in the history of making Heta games.
I said it once, but then I
Changed your mind.
quickly proceeded that with, and then she's dead at the end.
So yeah, this is a basic thing. Mine tend to start off with AUs and alternative universes. So I'll sit there and go, hey, what if we did like a Gakuen universe where it turned out everyone was like from X-Men? And then you go, that's a cool idea, don't you? Mm-hmm. What do you say?
That's a cool idea, Sammy. Tell me more.
And so basically, then you say, well, that's an interesting concept. I mean, like everyone knows that sort of like superhero powered piece of like getting. I mean, we've done it before. That was a dark AU. wow, we really
Stop
can't be
reminiscing
happy.
game.
And then you go, well, how can you turn that into a game? Well, it could be... It could go in many different directions, can't it? It's like it could be your basic beat 'em up, your RPG. It could be a dating sim. There are a lot of different ways you can go with it, but if you have that concept, you know where you're going next. The game type is the next one. It's very important. We have a nice little picture here as well. You want a platform game, puzzle game, visual novels, or epic RPG, as written down. They're all building blocks, and you know, if it has an interactivity that is a stimulating challenge, then you at least have the gameplay elements. That's the word. Which probably is you've used a good example here, which is has anybody ever played the game What Remains of Edith Finch? If you haven't heard of it, I would look it up. It's really good, especially if you can get someone who actually looks for everything. It's one of those where you have to search everywhere to find everything.
If you're feeling a bit delicate, it's not the best thing in the world to like play because it's very, very morbid.
Yeah.
But it's a really good game. Like, and I would call it a game as well, despite the fact it's only got like very limited interactivity and playability.
Because you have to figure out how to progress through the game.
Yeah, and
puzzles.
a large part of the game is finding all the information. So that's what would make it a game. The point I'd made above was like, you have to choose what type of gameplay element you want to the game, otherwise it just becomes an interactive film, because there is an awful lot of really good ideas and really good concepts for games that I've seen out there that have ended up being nothing but interactive RPG maker films, because they've just been cutscene, walk to next point of cutscene, and the only gameplay element they've had to them has been find where the next cutscene is, kind of thing.
It's one of those where it's an easy trap to fall into, because most people see it as most people get so wrapped up in the story they forget that there is a gameplay element to it. So before you know it, it's like, wow, I've just made a dungeon, and then there's a cutscene, and then I went to a town, and there's another cutscene, and it's like, what was it? One of those plays that they have a play in here. I don't know if anywhere else has them. They have like a 365 play, like as 360 degrees play, where the actors lead you around a town and they literally walk you from point A to point B before they proceed, continue with the story. Which is fun when it's you and you're like, ooh, where are we going next? But when you're on a screen and you're just pressing up, it's not the same. And then you also remember what genre you want. If nobody knows what the word genre means, types. So you've got sci-fi, fantasy, you've got horror. Themes, there you go. Maze game, yeah. So you have, your sci-fi, your fantasy, your horror, you have romance, you have slice of life. Video games have a few of their own. I'm trying to remember the rest of it. That's when you're looking at, like, is it going to be a first-person shooter? Is it going to be a RPG? Is it going to be a action game? Is it going to be an adventure game? There's a few more out there, and I mean, like, you can find endless lists. People like narrow it down to something. Once you have those three in the little holy triangle triforce of game making, yay, and game development, you've started. It's shall I use my example again? So we've got X-Men, like Gakuen thing. It's going to be a adventure RPG. So it's an adventure RPG where you're playing a character who is trying to get through school, basically, and there'll be other stuff down the line. But that's taking the genre, the concept, and the type into consideration. So yeah, that's where it goes from there.
If you guys have any questions or want to ask about like certain things that we may not have mentioned or whatever, you can feel free to do so. We'll probably drop in every so often and answer them. So, it's interactive. You can have your say as well.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think, do I have any images for this? Because oh yeah, no, not yet. So then you got your plot summary. As pointed out, even Candy Crush Saga has a element of story behind it. It engages your player, makes your game more three-dimensional. Obviously that also depends on what mechanics you put into the game, but it's what pushes them ahead. Otherwise it would just be like playing ping pong, I guess.
It's like I said, even if all there is to your game is a series of slide puzzles, it helps your player to know there's a reason why they're doing this. Obviously, an awful lot of fan games come story first and then gameplay later, so it doesn't end up being like a huge problem. But at the same time, like with some of them, it ends up being like, oh, I want it to be a ghost story for this reason, and they still don't think about like why the player wants to play the game, kind of thing.
It also gives you a reason why they're still there. Example of this is it's a case of imagining HETALIA if they didn't lock the door and they could get out whenever they wanted to. What reason does the player have to go into the house and discover all these secrets and play all these puzzles when they could just leave? You need a reason why your player does it. It's not just a case of you're doing it because I said so. It's they're doing it because their lives are in danger, or they have to get to the next room, or someone's about to get squished by a falling ceiling.
Yeah.
That sort of thing to it. Not expecting you to have like 200 hours of gameplay scripted out. Then Tricro made a joke about Bethesda.
You can read it out because they probably can't see the font
Alright.
very well on their screens.
We don't expect you to. We're not expecting someone to come up with 200 hours of gameplay scripted out. I mean, who do we think you are? Bethesda. But a bunch.
Hey. At this stage, when you're still planning, you just come up with a simple plot kind of summary over all of your game. Don't panic too much about who's going to see it and whether you need to keep spoilers or whatever on the download. This is written for you so that you know what you're doing. We're not saying write a blurb for a book, we're saying just write the full plot.
Yeah. Let me
down.
just see, but I'll get rid of that. Because I have teachy time, trying to think. Planning list. Is that the one I want?
Maybe.
Yeah. Just an idea of like the type of planning list you need, sort of. Oh no, I don't need that just yet, actually.
We've got an example for how you'd write out like a paragraph-based kind of plot summary.
The best thing to do when you come up with stories is to write a quick summary. Can you describe your game in so many...
Like 500 words.
500 words or less, something like that. I mean, I'm not going to count that. So the example we've done is for A Dream in Midsummer, which is an adaptation of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. On the night of the fairies of the kingdom come together to celebrate the marriage of the human king. Feliciano Vargas is in a pickle. He longs to marry Ludwig, his one true love, but his grandfather will only marry him to the wealthy Antonio. Feliciano vows to run away from home and elope, but concerned, his brother Lavino has Antonio follow him to try and bring him back. And then, of course, it turns out that Lavino is in love with Antonio. Unknowingly, they all stray into the fairies' realm, where Gilbert decides to meddle where he's not wanted. Chaos follows as the wrong lovers fall for one another, but it is all eventually solved in the end.
That's literally a bare bones plot of it, because that doesn't even cover the musicians or the stuff that's happening in the fairy realm. That just gives you a kind of basic checkpoint, path point from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. So what that tells us is okay, we have a fair few like maps to make on that. We have a handful of maps to make. We know who the main characters are going to be, and we have a vague idea of how you could incorporate gameplay elements into that. Because once you've written out a bare idea of the story and you don't know, for example, you don't know how you're going to make that into like a puzzle game or a linear platform game. Once you've got that story element out, you can kind of see the chapters that you'd have for where you'd put different levels of the game, and that helps out with that area before you've even gone into the full script.
Yeah, it also means that you can keep that on hand, so that if you've forgotten the basic element of your plot, which is, you know, in this one it's the fact that there are 4 people who are lost in the fairy realm and some idiot decides to meddle. If you forget that, then the whole plot falls apart and you end up with plot holes, which is never a good thing. I hate plot holes.
Like, I can't stress the amount of projects we've had where we've had to go back and rewrite the endings. We've forgotten how the rest of it is gone.
Yeah, so many times. So many times when characters just suddenly like change their motive for no reason.
Like, I couldn't pick up the Servant of Evil one again because I've lost that one completely from my head.
I have the thing, but
Yeah.
we'd have to start from scratch.
Yeah. Which is what happens every single time we pick up a project.
That's not my fault. You wrote it
That's
on the
fine.
Mac and we lost the data on the
Yeah.
Mac. Right, so it says step 3 is choose your maker. Right, so we're all fans of RPG Maker, I assume.
All of them are using RPG Maker.
No, really. It's a staple in the Heta game community, and you won't be the first to use something, but you wouldn't be the first to use something else. Game Maker is useful for making basic platform games. I know what Game Maker is. I had to use it in university.
It's free, isn't it?
There's a free version and a bought version. The bought version gives you extra stuff, basically. And that's literally all it is. But it's more or less the same as RPG Maker. It has all the same, like, pre-scripted elements, but it's more free.
Like, you won't be given a tile set. They'd ask you to make all the graphic
You have to make it all
yourself.
yourself, yeah. There's some very simple tutorials out there, though, if anyone's interested. There's Flash. Not much different from back in its heyday. It's an animation game platform, basically.
I can guarantee you've played a Flash game at least once in your life. Dress-up doll games are all Flash games. A lot of the stuff that's on DeviantArt is Flash games. So there is actually a couple of HETALIA Flash games out there.
I know one of them is my favourite. It's another Spain one.
Yeah.
It's the Matador one.
Yes,
I love that one. But yeah, I've just read what you've written there. Unreal.
Cue Sammy's screams of displeasure here.
Ugh. Unreal is a program where you make games in it. It's an engine that a lot of games these days use. You compile either 2D or 3D. I only ever learned how to do 3D games, so it was creating 3D assets in 3ds Max and other programs, and then porting them across to create a scene.
I can imagine there's probably a method that you can import MMD.
There probably is
Stuff
as well,
into
yeah. You'd have to
So-
put another wire into it, so...
So if you ever wanted to make a 3D HETALIA game, and we have seen someone make a 3D Heteroni house through Unreal.
Outside of me, who did that?
Not you. Someone on the Heteroni tag on Tumblr did ages ago.
Nice,
They made a 3D
nice.
Heteroni house on Unreal.
Nice.
And I can imagine you can import MMD models in, and then you could make a 3D
Yeah.
HETALIA game
You'd
if
have
you wanted to.
you'd have to get the basic messages in and have the animation skills. So I mean, it's there. It's just you have to It's like, you know, you have to rip out the old skeleton and put a new
Yeah.
one in.
If anyone actually fancied doing some real programming, that's where you'd go.
Ugh. Yeah. So yeah, UDK. If anything, pay attention to some of the opening screens of your games on consoles. You'll probably see UDK come up because that's what a lot of them use it in, because it's got a lot of good renderers in it.
Bioshock, Thief. Assassin's Creed uses
Yes, they do.
uses Unreal as well.
They do. I recognise it.
And Sammy screams at it, and I say that she screams at it because I played Bioshock after she got into her second year of university, and she sat there and went, "Are you kidding me? That's the in-game assets," which is similar to like someone using the RTP files from RPG Maker, but nobody who uses Unreal at a commercial level uses the in-game assets.
Yeah. Alright, so this is an ever-growing list. We haven't even mentioned stuff like Rempe, which is a visual novel maker. But no, there's thousands out there. There's loads. Like, even RPG Maker says, like, thousands of them. Thousands. exaggeration, but yeah. Go out there and experiment. I mean, not every single one is free, so don't just buy everything.
Yeah.
But they do have the capabilities. The next one is writing notes. Notes, lots of notes. This is when I can start bringing my pictures in. If you are all nearby to one another, you can get together and just scribble notes and choices on paper. If in doubt, group documents and note-taking platforms are great. I need to get into your messenger.
That's fine.
Is that alright?
Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
1 second.
Because obviously we're quite lucky enough to live in the same house.
You can bring up Messenger without bringing up Facebook now.
Sweet.
No.
No, I can still do it because I can get to my images.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just sent it to you. Go me. Go me. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, so we'll start off by, these are our pencil notes. These are our pencil notes. Generally, yes, I'm a bad person. Slap my hand. I always rush straight to the designing phase for people. I love designing costumes, even if I can't make half of them. And, I'll just put you in front of everything. Oh no.
Put it over there, hungry.
Yeah. So, to be honest, you shouldn't do this section unless you are absolutely certain of the fashion sense of your world. That is always the, whatchamacallit. What's the word I'm looking for? It's another trap you can fall into. Also, I'm just gonna make sure I click the right way. This is a map of the world that we created. It's not very detailed. It's literally just blobs where I can say where things happen.
Such and such is this way, such and such is that way. That was when we were planning the hero's journey, though.
Yeah.
Which came with the whole, he has to get from point A to point B, but how is he going to hit all the different places along the way?
Which was when we came up with the whole central point thing. But this was also to tell us where certain races were as well, but this is a sort of a good thing to do.
Did you want to tell them what game this was for?
Fine, it's for Teller Assistant. Anyway, the best thing to do is, if you're creating big worlds, big worlds, like in Teller Assistant, we had to make an entire new world. It's well, what does that world look like? What's its back? But this was based on backstory that we had to make notes on. And there's also this. This is also from Teller, but I'm not telling you what it's for because it's a very integral part of my plot. But it's stuff like this is useful for me because it's in a book next to me. When I'm doing certain parts of the plot, I can just pull it out and have a look, and it's a little reference yes, that's that, and that's that, and that's that. It's very simple.
The bare bones of it is it's to do with a certain magic in the world, so because she's got that, she can keep in mind of what needs to happen when it's in use.
Yeah, it was one of those where in the end it got a bit confusing, but I got there.
But that's part of world building and some of the effects that a fantasy world will have on people and stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, those are those ones. That's always good. Oh look, my DeviantArt. And the other part of the planning comes from this. This is planning stage 1. Again, I'm using all of my Teller Assistant stuff because that's what we most have planning for available at the moment. Thank you, darling.
I'm trying to zoom in. There you go.
So this is your basic plot for In Order. There is a bit before this, and the bit before this I'm not telling you because we were messing around heavily when we were planning it. What you should do is you should have blocks to your story. So we did. And we named this based upon the key player of each block. We put down basic notes of what happens during that area, how very simply. It has some very goofy sayings on it as well, so yeah, you're not seeing that. This is technically planning stage 2. You've taken all of your notes down from what you want, so I think in Teller it was, we're going to this island and then this happens, and then we go to this island and this happens, then we go to this island and then this happens. And then
fight me in the pit 1v1, Arthur.
Thank you. then from there it was, alright, then how does this happen? Well, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, which is when we get to this point, which is like, it's your basic stuff. Like, he arrives in the world, he awakens, gets into an argument, they both disagree, he explains he can do something, stuff happens, and it goes on from there. Whereas you go on to the next bit, which has been heavily edited to stop spoilers. This is for part 3, what we're doing. Yeah, where have I lost things? There they are. This is the next bit where you sort of go, right, so what characters do we need for this section? What do they do during this section, sort of thing? It's as much as the other one had similar information, this one's been broken down into sections so that you can search and look into stuff. Like I said, I've scrubbed out a lot of it so you can't actually tell what's going on, but it's like, in this mage school section is Arthur and Sealand. Then it's like what they do, how they get together. Down here, I know this was when we were considering different characters. So there's a section which is going to focus around Alfred, I know that for a fact. And it was a case of, well, who's going to be in there? Alfred's going to be in there, Gilbert and Ludwig are going to be in there, but at the time we weren't sure if Matthew was going to be a character because we weren't sure of his relevance to the plot.
Yeah.
I also have a big list which I did, which was because our world has races. I wrote down every character that was canon in HETALIA, and I put down what their race was, so that, you know, we knew exactly who they were when they turned up. Not everyone is relevant to the plot, but eh. And then next bit you go on to is that's when you get to the scripting stage, don't you think?
Yeah.
Make sure. The scripting stage. This is a part of the script for 7.
Which is the one we're doing whilst the game jam's on.
Yeah. This one is just to show you like how we do scripting. Now I know I got people confused when I said that you could do scripting before the game jam started. This is the original meaning of script. You write down your
I do want to sit down and actually go through an example of how I write scripts.
Oh, we can do that.
So that
that's absolutely fine.
They can see that.
But it's got your basic, your characters, what's happening, stuff like that. This is just a section of Arthur speaking to the driver, so it's a bit of a comical scene. But this is useful for me because I can see who's talking, I can see what they're saying. It's a very simple way of doing it, and
it's also useful because the previous 2 parts where you're planning out the plot points and stuff like that, that can be done as a group, but if you needed to separate and do things individually, one person can walk off and do the script because they've got all the plot points set out. They know that you know that they're not going to deviate away from where the plot's meant to be going, and then they can just flesh out all the characters and everything and write it, whilst the programmers and the artists and everything do everything else.
Basically. There's one thing that's mentioned here, which is Trello. Trello is very useful. People are using Discord, so that's fine.
Let me get our Trello.
I can show you our Trello so you can see what we use it for, because
just type it in because it should still be signed in.
On me or you?
On you.
I'll show you what Trello looks like at least, because there it is.
Because we've got one for Render Wing on there.
Rendering production.
Ready to.
This is basically a board that you all add yourself to, and then you can add things together. For example, our end one here, we've ordered this in order of things, or we can get rid of that now. Of what they were in order of preference. So first off, we have, like, we've written all these. So it's plan for animations, write chapter 2, chase up any beta readers, presets, assets, and these were playthrough notes. The first thing we did was we went through the game and we did some playthrough notes, and you can have a title and then you get extra bits here. This is a good screen because you can, like, you know, edit the description, write down everything here, add comment. You can even add members to it, so you can assign people different things. Then we got obviously the Shakespeare one. This one's not done. This one's got more pre-production stuff. That one's finished. We have a finished section, I think, but I can get rid of that because that's done. So you can edit labels, change members, blah blah blah. You can also give different dates. It's really good. Not to be touched till lock's done. See, that is old.
This was back in June that we'd done this. So.
And we have a completed list at the end, so we can see what's in beta, what's completed, and generally, this is what we use Trello for. It's just to split things up, really. So, I mean, we mostly use it as well because then it means that people can say when they've done stuff. You can, like, I believe you can change the colours of these sometimes. I can't remember exactly. Where you can, like, just say, right, well, I've done this, and then you can, you know, put it into a section that is, I've completed this, and then everyone else can look at it. It's not for everyone. We use it for a lot of things. Like, I don't know if you can look at it. I've got 2 boards on here. I used to have another board as well, but that was university. So we've got a few things on there, but that's just to show that sort of thing off. Did you want to look at your scripting?
Yeah. If you want, you can let me sit down.
Yeah, sure. So you got
scripts.
Draco's going to show you how scripting works when you do it for games. It's a little different from other things.
I get to listen to the music in the background now.
Yeah.
Right. We're on here. Well done, me. I'm just going to put this.
I think you can access it.
Yeah, it's on here anyway. So, right. Now, if you have ever been taught how to write a script, and by script I mean like a script that's in a play or a script that's in a film, you'll have probably been taught it in secondary school, high school, whatever it is in the nation that you live in. The method that I use is the one that I was taught during film and media production in university. So the method I've been taught is for writing for film or episodes or comics and the like. It's similar in how it's meant to be done across the board, but there's a few different things that you can change for game making, because obviously if you're writing out a script you also have to write out the fact that the player has choices, and then you start getting into branching stories and the like. Now I don't mind showing this off because, to be honest, it's been in beta, so there's been a few people who've been able to see it anyway. Trying to get the view thing to work so that you can. It's not like Word, is it?
Just click the X.
Huh?
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to make it so that they can see the font. There we go. Right. So at the beginning of the new Zero Spirit Focus part starts out with the prologue in which Romania and Bulgaria play the main part. In it, Bulgaria is a supernatural detective, and he's got a fabulous assistant, Romania, who is his psychic, as it were. What would usually be stage directions or film directions is now your opportunity to start explaining like the world around it, and some notes for the game maker so that they understand that this
this script only requires certain bits and stuff like that. So for example, in this one, I've said that you only get to see 3 rooms of the house at this point in the game, and that's because we return back to the house later, beyond the prologue. But the game maker now knows that they only need to be able to access 3 of the rooms, and they're not going to let them walk through just every single door. I tend to, when writing dialogue, actually put it as a new line if I want it to look like it's a new line or a new box. This means that I can then be like, this is the pacing that I want it to have. You also have certain directions, like scene fades up, where I've gone, right, the beginning of this is all in black. I don't want you to see the map. You have certain things like, for example, there is a version of this where I've put the emotions next to them, so that Sammy's known which emotion pictures to put beside them. But other than that, if it's in brackets, it's going to be italics, and in that case it's a not heard by the characters around them kind of speech. And if it's bold, then it has to be like angry and shaking screen or whatever. But yes, as the as far as cutscenes go, Sammy tends to have a free reign as to what kind of animation that they have, unless I've gone, right, okay, I definitely want this and this bit to happen. So like, Romania is teasing Bulgaria at this point and threatens to leave him alone in the haunted house. So he goes to leave, and Bulgaria is like, please don't leave me alone, it's really spooky in here. But once the cutscene's over, you write player resumes play, and that's a signal of you don't have to program anything at this point beyond like things they can interact with. This is when I start to make notes of the things that are in the room. I say they can now play as Marco, who needs to go to their equipment before leaving the room and retrieve the camera. So he needs to go there. He can't leave the room until he's done that. He needs film, a good supply but not unlimited, herbal medicine, unlimited supply at this point, and optional, he can read the journal. This is when, like with the dialogue, I'll write out what they say, which in our case is now images because we've decided to do it a different way than the simple text boxes. And then once I've written all the documents they can find in that room, I'll make sure that I've written everything that can be done in that room before moving on to the next bit. So I'll say the player is now able to leave the room and go up the stairs. All of the doors are locked at this point, or jammed shut as it were, except the main entrance, which just tells the player that they don't need to leave because they've not got what they needed. Upstairs there is a master bedroom and a kimono room which are available to explore. Inside the kimono room is a dresser which has a bridal kimono and a decorative hair comb. You can go looking around at items basically, I've said at this point, and there's stuff you can interact with. I've written down what will happen if he interacts with it. This is something I'd told Sammy but I'd not made clear in the script, which if you're writing as a group that aren't together, you'd need to make clear in the script. When I've said that there is a master bedroom and a kimono room which are available to explore, I've told Sammy you can explore them in whatever order you want. So you don't have to go to the kimono room first, you can go to the master bedroom first. But you run into the ghost if you interact with stuff. So at this point I've written, if it's your first time that you've run into the ghost, as in you've gone to the kimono room first, this will happen. If it's the second time that you've run into the ghost, then this will happen. And that's how you write some of the choices. It gets a little bit more difficult if it's full-blown branching stories, but that's when you'd start bringing in like, this is a script for if it branches off this way, and this is a script for if it branches off that way. Again, then he moves into the master bedroom and there's a first time and a second time seeing the ghost there. Then I've written here when our animated cutscenes begin. and that's just a sign for Sammy to understand that she doesn't have to actually program beyond that part.
Woohoo.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of whether there's any actual parts that need to be said, other than like where I've written in the script for 7 a part of the gameplay. Which I don't mind sharing because it's not exactly hugely spoilers.
Give me the combining thing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Right. In 7, the basic bare bones plot of it is that Arthur's kind of gone to the countryside to his country house to spend some time alone, and he gets back and he finds that France has thrown a surprise birthday party for him, which is great because he didn't want one. And France has invited loads of people that he thinks England gets along well with, which, to be honest, a lot of them he does. They're just not the first choices, as it were. And in part of the game you're playing as France as he prepares for the surprise birthday. And I've said that as the player you can wander around and talk to some of the other party goers, and they'll have little challenges for you, like Gilbert and America have a who can put up the decorations the fastest challenge because they're fucking idiots. And Poland and Austria are complaining about the lack of food, so France decides to show off and say that he can make anything with some scraps. And so you get a combining crafting exercise where I've talked about, like, right, okay, so you've got a crafting exercise. He has to make 3 dishes from 2 or 3 items on the food table. He has lettuce, tomatoes, cucumber, tuna, olives, bread, cheese, ham, and toothpicks, and you can fuse them all together, and some have better results than the others. So you have like simple salad, which is made from lettuce, tomatoes, cucumber, which is average, and I've created every order that you can get results from there. And that's me making notes of the game there, and Sammy's got all the notes that she needs. And if she doesn't, she asks me. And then I'll just go, oh, there's also Russia, who's like the end of the mini games point. But yeah. And there's stuff like dialogue choices, sit and wait and go and help. But yeah, that's how you would write a story script, and I know it doesn't seem like the most important thing in the world because
I'm trying to think if you've got a different example, because I know that the circus one's on here as well.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I know it's not often seen as the most important thing in the world, but I tend to find that, like, there's circus game, right?
There we go.
When you've got the actual script written down, you can start to, you can not only spell check it, because RPG Maker doesn't have a spell checker, but
Although
you can
get
also
a plugin if you've got MV, you can get a plugin.
Oh, okay. You also can then edit it an awful lot easier than if you have to go into the Maker and edit it. It means that you can write it all out and see it in a sort of imaginary sense in your head before you go into the Game Maker with it. It also just makes it easier for making sure that your storytelling is really good.
Yeah.
You wanted to show off the sound effects and stuff like that.
Because this was the quest one. So
Yeah.
this had stuff like quest gained.
Quest gained. And doing stuff like, if you interact with certain items, this happens. If you interact with that, such and so forth. I think it's got... we didn't quite... Oh, there we go.
Oh, the actions,
It was the
yeah.
bit where it was the actions.
Yeah, this was more of a, they have options, and it was making sure we knew which one was correct.
Yeah. So, like, if you're doing dialogue options and you wanted to do a kind of thing where you were like, oh, the best answer is this one, but all of the other ones are mediocre, and this one is really bad, so this one will earn you negative points.
The circus game for us was a detective-style gameplay. So for the tutorial, it's like what do you pick sort of thing.
But what you'd end up doing is you'd end up going around and finding all of these points in a kind of Danganronpa-esque style. And then you'd have them later.
If you select the right one, you get extra information.
Yeah. And then there's the 3 options at the end. If HETALIA chooses 1, if they choose 2, and if they choose 3. But yeah. That's how I do game writing anyway. There are lots of really useful resources for all of this online, like there's a lot of stuff which talks about game development and planning and game script writing and stuff like that. It's one of those where it's like you shouldn't be too afraid to go and look online, because whilst it may be that some of it's not applicable if you're using RPG Maker and such, it is still very useful information. And anything that can help further your development, as it were, shouldn't be something that's shied away from.
No, but we wanted to talk about planning because it is a stage that people don't tend to remember as much as they should. But that's more because you don't think about it. You never think, that doesn't work at all. You don't think to do it that much, but that's basically all we wanted to do this week, wasn't it? Talked about a few things. We're going to be doing this next Monday as well. Obviously we'll be looking at some more updates of what people have put up, and if this teachy thing worked out well, we're thinking of going through some basic map stuff, which isn't us going, take this thing and click, 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 now you've made a floor. That's more talking about the different style choices of maps and pros and cons of each one.
And we wanted to make it kind of discussion based as well, so I know like a lot of you haven't said anything when listening to the tutorial-ish bit, but you're more than welcome to come in with your own ideas and information and share them as well.
We are hoping at some point to do a proper podcast type thing, which is just how to plan a fan game to sort of like from start to finish, so any discussion is appreciated.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's everything.
Yep. So until next week, we're away this weekend coming, so I'm trying to think of a day we'll be doing the podcast.
Depends when we get back.
We get back morning on Monday.
So probably Tuesday then.
Yep, Tuesday next week, and I know it's still going to be a working day / school day for most people, but we try to aim for a little bit later in the evening next time, I think. But yes, this will be recorded, so everyone's welcome to come and watch it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Get on with those games.
Yeah. Feel free, if any of you have like enough, obviously next week, if you do want to give kind of like beta versions of your games, you can do as well, just so that we can explore some of the areas. You don't just have to show us progress in the form of pictures. You can do that, even if they're broken as heck right now.
We don't care.
That's fine.
That's fun. That's the fun of it. I love breaking my games.
And as much as like I know some of you don't want to reveal spoilers and such and so forth, if you're wanting to kind of show your stuff and give a kind of breakdown as to how you've made it, especially with some of the stuff like programming and artwork, if you're wanting us to see the work you've put behind everything, you do need to post that up as progress. But we don't mind like not showing certain things on streams if you don't want them to be shown. There's a reason why you've got private groups.
If you put it in your chat and you mention specifically in your group chats that you don't want it being broadcasted, then we will respect that. If it's on the progress thread, then it's free game, I'm afraid.
But yeah, thank you all for coming, and we will see you next week sometime. We'll put up a announcement on the Discord for when you guys can watch it.
Bye bye.
Yep. Bye.